So, Gleeso, I think it's pretty obvious what Labor's strategy is here. They can't trust Albo with yes-no questions. They can't trust him with the detail of his own policy. So let's go back to what has worked for the past couple of years, which is to full attack all the time, and the media will cover 50-50 because they kind of want that result. Is that going to be enough to actually turn this thing around for Albo? Is he going to be able to at least dot ball a few days by behaving like that?
No, and the bookies certainly don't think so. I mean, have you seen the latest odds on Sportsbet? The Coalition are into favourite. I've never seen an avalanche of money like we've seen in the last 48 hours for the Coalition to win this election. I'll tell you what, Paul, here's just a rudimentary example of how this bloke has lost the plot. The other day he was talking about how he's happy to pay $2.20 a litre for petrol at the Bowser. On my way in here today at a Southport survey, $1.49. Petrol. Now, the government have alleviated that by 22 cents, so there's a lot of fat in there, if you like. They've bought it. But the economy is where this is going to be won and lost, and it's very clear that Albanese has no idea about how to manage the economy. And look, you know, I just saw Barnaby Joyce, you know, he used that great analogy about the dentist. You don't like going to the dentist, but you want him to make sure he pulls out the right tooth. And that's what you've got here at the moment between Morrison and Albanese. Yeah,
I'm with you completely. And don't forget, you know, the march of the crazies behind him, right? Again, Aussie Joe Biden, right? The reasonable face on a far-left agenda. And we've talked about this before, Jacinta, but it's just as relevant because the Greens now are out there. Your old mates, the Greens, are out there saying, oh, China's not a threat. In fact, to even talk about them as a threat means racism.
Of course, that old chestnut, the old racism card, isn't it always the case? Like, seriously, I think the Greens need to come to Darwin and spend a bit of time in the Northern Territory where they experienced it being bombed by, you know, enemies back in the day. And the threat is very real, you know. They need to get back to reality, basically. And it's really scary to think, and I think this is another thing, that Australians aren't stupid to the fact that if Albanese were to get in, if it's a Labor government, well, if you vote Labor, you get Greens, right? And we cannot afford to have that here in Australia, especially in the Northern Territory. Defence is so important. Defence certainly supports our territory economy as well, and strengthening defence in the Northern Territory is about that. It's also about creating jobs, as well as ensuring that we can defend our nation against this very real threat that they are simply turning a blind eye to. I mean, this is scary stuff. And I mean, Paul, you know, I've heard Mr. Bant talk a lot lately, and the bloke is completely and utterly out of touch. The other issue that he thought that we could do in the Northern Territory is sell our sun and wind. Well, the only sun cable project here in the Northern Territory, the energy as well as the profits from that goes straight to Singapore. It doesn't stay here in the Northern Territory. So he wants to spend big and not find a way to find that money.
I'm with you. I'm out of time, so Gleeso, 5 seconds.
I just saw the member for Longman. That disgraceful misinformation being peddled in Longman just goes to show how desperate this mob are. I mean, that is a disgrace. We need a federal body to rein in the bullshit that comes out during election campaigns. It's incredible.
I agree more, and that's why I like to give you the final say. By the way, another bailout interview for Albo in the papers tomorrow. Seriously, what's going on?